Welcome to the PJ Hoop Podcast. I'm your host, PJ, and if this is your very first time checking out my podcast, first and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out my podcast. On my podcast, I predominantly talk about the NBA, but I also like to cover high school, college, and international basketball. The 4 segments that I go over week in and week out, the first being a segment I like to call PJ's Echelon. Today, we're not going to talk about my power rankings, which is PJ's Echelon, because to me, the last week or so, the NBA has just been kind of wonky with the whole NBA Cup thing going on, so we're going to skip that today. Instead, we're going to check back in on my championship bubble that I made during my season preview episode. We're going to check back in on that. I'm for sure going to revise it, so we'll do that today, and that'll be the first segment that we open up with. The next segment that I usually go over week in, week out, and we're going to do that today, it's a segment I like to call What's New. Now, in What's New, I'm talking about some type of NBA historical history that was made over the last week, some type of NBA news that was made over the last week, or it could just be me ranting. Another segment I like to call Games of the Week. Now, in Games of the Week, I'm talking about some type of either NBA or college game that I really enjoyed watching, or a game that I considered a game of significance. Today's going to be a little special. We're kind of going to leave the NBA and college basketball on the back burner this week because there's something that happened that I want to talk about that happened Saturday night that was more important and more dear to my heart. And we'll talk about that here shortly, and that's going to be towards the end of the episode. Another segment is a segment I like to call In the Lab. Now, in the Lab, I'm talking about today's NBA rookies, or I'm talking about high school, college, or international basketball. Today, we're going to check in on some of our college upperclassmen, our juniors and seniors that have kind of stood out thus far this year, in my opinion, okay? And just so you guys know, this is being recorded December 17th, 2025. Anything after 1 p.m. today will not be featured in this episode. So just so you guys know, the first segment is a segment I like to call P6. Now in P6, it's just my championship bubble. I did this in my preseason. I'm doing it today. We'll do it one time after the trade deadline, and then we'll do one more time before the NBA playoffs start. Before the playoffs start, my list's going to be a lot shorter than 6/7 teams. It'll be a lot shorter, just so you guys know. But I want to give you guys my old list, and then I'll give you guys my new list. I'll leave a diagram up in the corner for you guys, just so you ain't got to mentally remember every team. But my old list consisted of the Houston Rockets, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then on my bubble, I had Philadelphia 76ers and the LA Clippers. Now, some of these teams, most of these teams are fine. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's some that are going to be removed. So I don't want to spend time on the preseason ones. Let's just go to my updated one for today. Remember, we're going to do this 2 more times after this. Take this one with a grain of salt, or take it as much as you want. Obviously, it may change, may not. I feel pretty confident. I think most of us universally probably have the same top 3, top 4 teams that are actually competitors. So this list, most of these teams on this list probably are not going to shock you guys. But so let's just start it off. None other than Oklahoma City Thunder. They're one of the teams on the championship bubble. Self-explanatory. I don't think I really need to explain why I have them here to you guys. Another team is the Denver Nuggets. Again, another team I shouldn't have to explain to you guys why I have them here. But, yeah, I'm not going to waste our time on them either. Now, the number 3 team, maybe this is a team I might need to explain a little bit to you guys, or maybe not. I have the Houston Rockets. They're still in my championship bubble. Houston, for the most part, I like this team. I like this team's defense. I like their toughness. I think their offense has for sure gotten substantially better. They're still hitting the 3 pretty consistently up to this point. I think my biggest concern with Houston is Şengün, Amen Thompson, and let's just say Jabari Smith. Let's say those 3 young guys. Are they ready for the next level, right? Are they ready for a conference final series? Are they ready for an NBA final series? The experience aspect of it. Are these young guys ready to really take that next leap and lean into what comes with going deeper into the playoffs? And also, I still am very curious to see how in the playoffs they decide to utilize Kevin Durant. Like, will they play the offense they're playing now, or will they lean more heavily on KD in the playoffs? I'm very interested to see what goes on there, but Houston for sure is a championship contender in my opinion. I think if things fall the right way, they for sure can see themselves winning the NBA title, so that's why I got them here. Another team is the New York Knicks. Again, may or may not surprise you guys. Offensively, can score with the best of them. Defensively, they've actually been slightly better this year than in years past. I think also I'm interested to see if New York decides to tweak the roster at all going towards the trade deadline. And outside of that, I really like New York. I guess the biggest question mark is, can somebody of Jalen Brunson's stature really win an NBA title, be the best player on the championship team? We've seen smaller guards do it, very, very few. Does he join that list? I think that's something we're gonna find out, sometime this year. The next team, and this may or may not surprise you guys, is the Detroit Pistons. So the reason why I put Detroit here is, one, because truly I just wanted to make sure I put 6 teams here, but also, injuries happen, right? We've seen how the Pacers got to the finals last year. And in years past, before even the Pacers, we've seen injuries happen and teams make their way to the finals. So Detroit's somebody I feel like you can't sleep on. Cade, and at least in my opinion right now, is playing as the second best player in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. They're a very physical team. They are very tough. They get to the paint. The 3-point shooting is very shaky. They're about middle of the pack in 3-point shooting. And I think the biggest question mark with this team, and why the reason why I wouldn't consider them like cream of the crop, is simply because I think we're still trying to figure out who's going to be Cade's running mate. I think Duran has had an amazing year. I think he's an all-star, and I told you guys that. I told you guys that a couple weeks ago. I told you guys I felt like he was an all-star this year. But I don't know if this Cade and Duran combo is enough to win an NBA title necessarily. So that's why I'm saying I'm interested to see, and that's the biggest question mark with Detroit, and it's been like that for me for 2 years now, is figuring out, is Jaden Ivey that running mate for Cade in the backcourt, or does Detroit need to go and use some of their assets and go get somebody? I know they've been involved in a couple trades recently, and since the little trade rumor mill has started, I'm not here to talk about that. And who knows, after the trade deadline, I might come on here and tell you guys they are definitely a championship team. But I put them here, again, just to summarize with you guys. Injuries do happen in the NBA. It can happen to any team. I believe Cade is playing like the second best player in the conference, and the team's physicality and toughness could very well much be enough to get the job done. Another team that's on this bubble for me is the Los Angeles Lakers. You got Luka. You got third option, LeBron. You got Austin Reeves. Truly with the Lakers, I still don't like defensively how they look, but offensively they can score with the best of them. And we know in the playoffs, even though LeBron's about to be 41, we know once the playoffs come, he's probably going to rev it up, truth be told. Really, if he believes they got a chance to win a title. So I feel like the Lakers got to be there on that merit, right? Having that 3-headed scoring monster. And again, that's why we're going to do it after the trade deadline, because if, let's say, the Lakers or Detroit makes a trade, now we're talking that could very well shake up the NBA landscape if these teams get the right player added to their team. Now, I want to give you guys 2 teams that I kind of have like on the bubble. One is, this may surprise you guys, is the San Antonio Spurs. I've been pretty consistent with you guys. In my preseason, I said San Antonio for sure should be a playoff team this year. I gave my reasons why. I think also, and I said a few weeks ago, and I'm not the only person that says it, I'm pretty sure a lot of us can agree that San Antonio their literal makeup of the team, how the team is constructed, is literally tailor-made to go at it with the OKC, right? Like, they have the ball handlers to attack OKC's defenders. They got Victor who can really negate OKC's ability to drive and kick. The Spurs is built to beat OKC. They really are. I put them here because of that. I put them here because again, injuries can happen. But truth be told, I don't think the Spurs are ready quite yet. I think they're about another 1 to 2 years away from really like being right there to capture the NBA title. But I put them here because the things I highlighted to you guys. And also, I think they're going to be a tough out anyways, even how they currently are constructed and how young they are. I just think that's going to be a really hard out to me. And I would be, if they're healthy, I'll say this. If they're healthy, I would be shocked if they don't at least win a first-round series, okay? So my last team that I have on my bubble is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota, and I did go on a rant about Minnesota, I think it was last week or the week before, how I felt like they're a stagnant team. So it's probably ironic that I have them on my bubble. But Minnesota, they just find ways to win, okay? Like this is a chronically, by the numbers, a top 7 team. Offensively, they shoot some of the best from three. I think they're like top 4 in 3-point percentage in the NBA. They obviously have a top 10 player in Ant. Defensively, their defense is waking up a little bit now. I think now they're 10th in defense up to this point in the year. I think they've kind of trended upwards. For a while they were down, but they've trended upwards. And this team has experience. This group has been together. They've been to the conference finals. They went to the conference finals 2 years in a row. So I just feel like out of respect, and they don't look bad necessarily. You could just tell that they're stagnant. Like it's a stagnant team. So again, trade deadline happens. They make the right move. Again, I might come over here and put them solely inside the actual bubble. But yeah, so that's my championship bubble. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Don't, beat yourself over the head about it. Don't beat me about it. Like I said, most of these teams, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to agree with me. You might interchange, if you guys are in love with, if Philadelphia or Orlando, if you're in love with one of those teams, or if you're in love with, what's another team Boston, if you guys think Boston, because Tatum might come back and you guys might love the makeup of that team. But for right now, I feel pretty good about the teams that I gave you guys. We'll do it again after the trade deadline. And then we'll do it one more time before the NBA playoffs start, okay? You guys let me know down in the comment section below who's in your championship bubble. My next segment is a segment I like to call What's New. Now, What's New, I'm giving you guys some type of NBA news that was made this last week, some type of NBA historical history that was made this last week, or it could just be me ranting. We're going to lead off with Adam Silver. Adam Silver went on air on Prime and basically said the NBA next year is in 2026 are going to decide if they want to move forward with giving Seattle and Vegas teams. So that's going to be something to look out for next year. Another thing that happened is Nikola Jokic passed Carmelo Anthony for the second most 30-point games in franchise history. He did that against the Sacramento Kings, and that was on the 11th of December. Another thing that took place in that exact same game was DeMar DeRozan passed Vince Carter for 23rd on the all-time scoring list. So shout out to DeMar. Congratulations to him there. A movie called 48 Hours in Vegas is in the works, and it's about Dennis Rodman's wild weekend during the 98 finals. So that's going to be funny and interesting to watch. Steph passes Michael Jordan for the most 40-point games after turning 30. Steph has 45, and he's number one now in all-time in NBA history in that. Also, he also has the most 45-point games after turning 35 in history at 8. LeBron has 6 and Mike has 3. He also holds the record now for most threes made at the Moda Center by an opposing opponent with 12. All these things happened in the same game, and that took place on December 14th. Lastly, Cooper Flagg became the only 18-year-old to have a 40-point game, and I believe he either tied or surpassed Mark McGuire in Dallas Maverick history, I think for the most points by a rookie, period, in Mavericks history. Don't quote me on that, though. He also passed Tracy McGrady for the third most points in NBA history before turning 19 years old. And his birthday is on the 21st, so he got about 2 games left. And so he only trails LeBron and Kobe. Most likely, he's probably not going to catch those 2 players. But that happened on December 15th. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what happened this week that you guys want to share with all of us. My next segment is a segment I like to call Games of the Week. Now, in Games of the Week, I'm giving you guys games of some type of significance, games that I really enjoyed watching across the NBA and college. And then also sometimes, and actually pretty often, I give you guys games that I'm looking forward to this upcoming week and why. Today, we're just going to focus on games that we're looking forward to this upcoming week and why. But before I do that, I have to take time because Saturday night, there was a very important event that took place, and that was, and don't get me wrong, there was a lot of good NBA and college games over this last week, but none of those games topple the retirement of my GOAT, John Cena. So I have to come on here and talk about that to you guys for a little bit. I don't watch WWE now. I stopped watching about 14 years ago, but John Cena was my favorite wrestler when I watched. He was not my favorite wrestler of all time, because my favorite wrestler of all time is Stone Cold, but John Cena was my favorite wrestler that I watched during his time. And John also somebody I think just deserved his due for what he's done, not even just in the WWE, but across entertainment, period. And I appreciate him, though. You know, like, I just want to take time just to give him showing love, because I remember John's very first match against Kurt Angle on SmackDown. And him coming down the ramp and me laughing at the TV, like, look at this goofy dude. Who is this, you know? But he came in the ring with so much confidence, right? So much conviction. And from that moment, you could see the raw talent, right? You could see the raw talent against Kurt Angle. I remember he won his first United States title at WrestleMania against The Big Show. That was at WrestleMania 20. And then I remember at WrestleMania 21, he won his first WWE title. He beat JBL. But months before beating JBL, him and Batista both eliminated each other at the same time at the Royal Rumble, which was a big controversial there. So they both got a WWE title shot, and Batista ended up beating, who was it? I think Triple H later that night. I'm pretty sure it was Triple H he beat. Yeah, he did beat Triple H in that world title match at WrestleMania 21. But then also I remember John Cena injuring his he messed up his rotator cuff in his shoulder or something, and then he returned. He had a big return at Madison Square Garden at the Royal Rumble. I don't know, man, and like I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, because John Cena, he there's these moments in my life, and I really do give praise and glory to God for placing the WWE in my life at such a young age, because there was a lot of influences around me that I for sure could have paid more attention to those things instead of me sitting in my aunt's living room playing with all my wrestlers. So I just had to take that moment because John played a significant role in my life, and not even just him, like a lot of wrestlers did. But I was also fortunate enough to watch and go to him win his last WWE title at this last WrestleMania. That was the first time I've been to a live event in a super long time, but I felt like I needed to be in the building to witness John win his last title. I was like, I got to be there. I got to be there. He's not my favorite wrestler of all time. That's Stone Cold, but I do love John Cena, and during his era, during his time, he was my favorite wrestler. So, and he had so many memorable rivalries. Like, some of his best was against Randy Orton, against Edge, against Triple H. He had a good rivalry against Triple H, but I think his best to me is the Randy Orton one, and then the one with him and Edge. Those are probably my favorite John Cena rivals. And so yeah, I just wanted to come on here and give John praise. And thank you, John. Thank you for what you did, and also what he's done outside of the court, what he's done in movies, what he's done in Make-A-Wish. I think he holds the record for the most Make-A-Wish. I believe he holds that record, but don't quote me on that. And then also, you know, how he constantly shows love to our soldiers, in our military. You know, I respect that about John as well. But yeah, John, you will be missed. And I just want to thank you. Okay? Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to take time and just show John some love, man. Let's get back to it. I'm going to tell you guys what games are coming up this week that I'm looking forward to watching. Thursday, we get the Pistons at the Mavericks. We got Cooper Flagg versus Cade returning to his hometown of Dallas. And then also Thursday, we get the Magic at Denver. Friday, we get Philadelphia at the Knicks. Also Friday, we get the Spurs at Atlanta. Watch out, Trae Young might be returning. I know he was working out with the D-League team earlier this week. Another matchup Friday, we get the Thunder at the Timberwolves. Ant might not play, but I put this game here for just in case if he does play. If he doesn't, then obviously this game shouldn't be here. Another game on Saturday, we get the Rockets at Denver. We get the Heat at New York on Sunday. We get the Mavs at the Pelicans on Monday. We get Cooper versus one of his close friends, Derek Queen. And then also on Monday, we get the Pistons at the Blazers. That's the NBA. College basketball on Saturday. We get number 8 Houston at number 14 Arkansas. And then we get number 3 Duke at number 19 Texas Tech. For sure, I think I'm going to highlight Duke and Texas Tech next week on Games of the Week. I might do Houston and Arkansas as well because there's a lot of NBA prospects in both of those games. And I haven't even covered Duke on here yet, which is, your boy's a Duke fan. So another game on Saturday, we get Ohio State at number 12 North Carolina. I think it's going to be a sneaky good game. And then we get number 21. We get number 21 Auburn at number 6 Purdue on Saturday. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what games are you guys looking forward to this week. My last segment is a segment I like to call In the Lab. Now, in the lab, I'm talking about today's NBA rookies, or I'm talking about high school, college, or national basketball. Today, we're going to check in on some of our upperclassmen in college basketball. One being Yexel Lindenborg. He's a 6'9" power forward, senior at Michigan State. He's averaging 16 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 1.5 steals. He's shooting 60% from the field, 41% from 3, and 86% from the free throw line. I told you guys last year that I thought he was a pro, and I was so surprised that he didn't come out. He's still a pro in my eyes, and I want to give him some love because he's playing really well. I mean, he's playing beyond well. He shouldn't have even went back to college, if I'm being honest. That Michigan team looks scary. I ain't going to lie to you guys. Bennett Sturts is another one, 6'4", shooting guard senior at Iowa. He's averaging 17.5 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, 1.5 turnovers, shooting 49% from the field, 44% from the 3, and 79% from the free throw line. I ain't going to lie to you guys. Teray put him in a box. But Teray, in my opinion, is an NBA-level defender. So ain't no shame with that. That happened to Bennett Sturts, but it was a very bad look on Bennett. I will be paying super close attention to him in conference play because that was a clinic Teray put on him on the defensive end. So I want to make sure that was just a one-off thing for Bennett Sturts. But he's also hooping this year. Another player I want to give some love to is PJ Haggerty, 6'3" shooting guard junior at Kansas State. He's averaging 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. He's averaging 4 turnovers, shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3. It's 73% from the free throw line. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Downhill aggressive scorer, man. I mean, it's fun to watch, really, when he got it going. When he gets it going, PJ's fun to watch. He's been put on a clinic for a couple years now in college. I remember last year at Memphis he was hooping. He's a fun watch. He's a very fun watch, so I just want to show him some love. Another is JT Toppin, 6'9" power forward junior at Texas Tech, averaging 22 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 blocks, 1.5 steals, 3 fouls, and 3 turnovers. I think his motor translates to the NBA. I think he's just such a tank. And I wouldn't mind watching him come off a bench for a team, maybe giving a team like 15 minutes out of the game. I think he can do that at least. Last player I want to give some love to is Dior Johnson, 6'3" junior at, what school does he go to? Tarleton State, I think, is the school he goes to. But he's averaging 24 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, shooting 58% from the field, 57% from 3, and he's shooting 87% from the free throw line. Dior's kind of bounced around. He was actually, I think, the number 1 point guard coming out, if I remember correctly. The number 1 or number 2 point guard coming out. He was supposed to go to Oregon. Things happened, Things have happened. But I think it's really going to be hard for... he's playing in the WAC conference right now. Obviously, lesser comp. But Dior, man. Dior might be a pro, man. I ain't going to lie to y'all. Dior might be a pro. When I watch him play, and he's always been talented, right? It's always been the things off the court that's really derailed this kid. But I want to give him some love because he is playing amazing right now for that school. So you guys let me know down in the comment section below, what upperclassmen have you really enjoyed watching this year? Another dude that I didn't talk about, I think his name is Price Sanford. I think is his name. He plays for, University of Nebraska. I think is the school he plays for. He hoops. He got a jumper. His jumper looks kind of weird to me a little bit, but he's wet. He's got a jimmy. He got a jimmy on him. And there's a lot of other upperclassmen that's performing really well. But yeah, I just wanted to show love to them. just because. But next week, let's check in on our NBA sophomores. Let's see how our NBA sophomores are doing, okay? You guys, outside of that, you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And PJ is out.